Hi, I'm John.
And I'm Willie.
And we grow a lot of our own food in our little urban homestead here in Seattle.
Yeah, we've got chickens, we've got bees, and we've got a big garden that has a lot of beans in it right now.
And our beans are getting tall.
Yeah, and today on Grow Cook Eat, we're going to be showing you how to grow all these beans. So I'm going to talk about planting them, and then we're going to harvest some beans and bring them indoors and roast them. We've got pole beans, which are awesome because they add a lot of height to the garden. And John always likes to build the structures.
Yeah, it's fun to go out there and tinker and see, how you can add some vertical elements to your garden.
Yeah, and we also have bush beans. We grow both because they each have kind of their own benefits, and we like to grow different colors of beans. We've got green beans, purple beans, yellow beans. So I think I'm gonna head out to the garden and get started.
All right.
So the term green beans is a little bit of a misnomer because green beans actually come in a lot of different colors. They come in green, of course. You can also get purple green beans, which look great in the garden, but they do actually turn green when you cook them. And then they also come in yellow. I've got some yellow bush beans that I'm growing right here. Beans also come in two different growth habits. There's bush beans, and so bush beans grow to a certain height, usually about 2 feet or so, and then they put all their flowers and pods out pretty much at the same time. So they're great if you want to freeze some pods, or if you want to make dilly beans, you want to can beans. Bush beans are the way to go. You can also grow pole beans, and they grow 6, 7, 8 feet tall. You have to grow them up some poles, and the nice thing about pole beans is they produce a continuous crop of beans. So you don't get as many beans as once, but you get a lot over a long period. So I usually grow both types of beans. So when you're harvesting beans, they actually taste best really small. And so you want to look for beans that have tender pods, they have kind of a velvety texture, and the beans are just beginning to form. Also, if the pods snap readily, that's a good sign. So beans have nice big seeds, and if you're planting pole beans or bush beans, you want to plant them each about 3/4 to an inch deep. For pole beans, you want to put about 3 or 4 beans at the bottom of each pole. For bush beans, you initially want to plant the beans about 3 inches apart, and then eventually thin them out to about 4 inches apart. And then backfill around them with soil. The nice thing about bush beans is that they are a pretty fast crop. You'll usually start to get beans within about 55, 60 days. So, about a month and a half to 2 months. So they're nice to fill in when you have a space in the garden. I harvested some lettuce here, and now I'm planting a row of bush beans. And we'll be able to harvest these in just a couple months. Once you get your beans in, you want to water them in, and also it's a good idea to plant them in pretty damp soil. Water them in well. And then after you water them, you want to avoid watering them again until they germinate if possible, because beans can soak up a lot of water and that can reduce their germination rates. So get them watered, and then they'll usually, especially during the summer, germinate within about 7 days. So you want to go out and check your soil, and you want to wait until the soil dries down to about the top of your first knuckle before you water again. So hopefully the plants will germinate before you need to water again, but if it's been really hot, you'll want to just keep an eye on things. So planting's pretty easy and straightforward. I think I'm just going to harvest a few more beans, and then we can head into the kitchen and learn how to roast these. Okay, so we're going to start by making some roasted green beans. And you want 3 or 4 big handfuls of green beans that have been washed and trimmed. And by trimmed, I mean you want to pop off their stem ends and then the little curlicues at the bottom. Then I have a tablespoon of olive oil that I'm just going to pour over the top. And just want to stir the beans around so that the olive oil coats them, because we want the spices to stick to the beans. Then I'm going to combine the paprika, the coriander, and the cumin. Just kind of stir them together there. Want to sprinkle those over the top of the beans. And then also some salt, just a big pinch of salt, and some ground pepper. And then give them all a nice stir, because we want the beans to be evenly coated with the spices. Once they're nice and coated, go ahead and just put the beans into a rimmed baking sheet and spread them out so that they're in an even single layer in the baking sheet. And then you want to stick them into the oven, which has been preheated to 500. So we're going to roast these at really high heat. And they're going to cook for 15 minutes. And we want to stir them 3 times so that they roast evenly. While the beans are roasting, I want to make the yogurt sauce, and it's really easy to put together. So you take a cup of Greek yogurt and put it into a bowl. And then I have 2 tablespoons of Italian parsley. You could also use cilantro if you preferred cilantro, and that's just been finely chopped. I've also got some chives, a tablespoon of chives. You could put red onion or sweet white onion. You could put shallots. And then also about 3/4 of a cup of chopped cucumber. And then you just stir this all together. Add a little bit of salt, just a pinch of salt, and a nice grind of black pepper. And then you just want it to set aside so that the flavors can kind of meld together. And you'll probably have leftover sauce, and it's great with falafel or just spread on a sandwich or used as a dip with raw vegetables. It's a pretty versatile sauce. So that's it. Now we're just gonna wait until the beans are roasted and then we'll be ready to eat. So they get a little bit wrinkly, but they taste so good. So I'm just gonna pile them onto a platter to serve them because they look really pretty when they're all piled. And you'll notice that the green beans are green and the yellow beans are yellow, but that the purple beans turned green in the oven. Okay, so I'm just gonna grab the sauce and we'll see what John thinks about these. Okay, I hope you like beans because we have so many in the garden right now.
I'll trust you on the beans. They look phenomenal.
Yeah, I like to roast them because it kind of brings out, they have sort of a little bit of a nutty flavor when you roast them, and it's so much better than boiling them because you know how they get kind of squeaky.
Oh, I grew up on squeaky beans. So what's different about these?
Well, so you roast them at really high heat, like 500 degrees, and so they get kind of funny looking a little bit, they're a little wrinkled, and they're kind of browned in places, but that makes them taste really good.
Ooh, these are delicious. Willie, I think you would change anyone's opinion of beans.
Yeah, well, I agree they're a lot better than when they're boiled.
Zero squeak. Loved every second.
They're nice too because it's such an easy way to make them, and when you have pole beans and green beans in your garden at this time of year, you know, you'll be harvesting a few handfuls every couple days, so it's nice to have an easy recipe. So I hope that you enjoyed learning about beans here on Grow Cook Eat today. If you have any comments about growing them or cooking with them, please leave them in the comment section.
You can join us on Facebook and share our video out with your friends.
Join us again here next time on Grow Cook Eat because we're going to be talking about some other great vegetables that you can grow in your garden.